Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sports Timeout. We're back. After a brief hiatus, Timeout is back and packed to the gills with highlights from the fall sporting season. We start off our coverage with a football opener so good, it took 2 days to finish. The sounds of football, or at least the Chieftain Band, as Utica kicked off their season opener in the 2007 season against L'Anse Creuse North. Chieftains hoping for big things this year, and the season gets off to a tough start. Eric Thompson with the forearm shiver, and then takes it the distance, outrunning Bobby Atkins, 89 yards into the end zone, and L'Anse Creuse North was up on the Chieftains 7-0, just like that. Utica, though, comes back. Chris Robinson shedding defenders and going for 29 yards before he's pushed out of bounds, setting up himself with this 15-yard touchdown run, knocking down the Crusader defenders like bowling pins. He rumbles into the end zone. Utica comes back and grabs a 10-7 lead. Chieftains lead 13-7 at the half, which was halted for 17 hours due to a rain delay, storm delay. They pick things up the next day. Coach Tony Smith talking to his guys about falling asleep during the halftime. Granted, it was overnight. Speaking of falling asleep, how about L'Anse Creuse North to start the third quarter? They ran one back to start the game, and Steve Tate answers back the next day, started the third quarter with an 88-yard kick return for a touchdown himself. Chieftains now up 20-7 and fired up. Talk about no letdown to start the second half a day later for the Chieftains. More Utica here in the third. It's Brian Garbarino rolling out, looking deep. He finds Anthony Digitano over the middle, and Digitano is digging it. 79 yards to the house, 27-7. Chieftains dominating in the third quarter. But L'Anse Creuse North, the feisty bunch, they come back. Mike Neiman down the middle to Jesse McDonald, the backup QB, for 41 yards. Eric Thompson would score from a couple yards out. L'Anse Creuse North starting to come back into it. Then very late in the game, Thompson again after a Chieftain fumble. Good, tough running from the senior, who's also an outstanding basketball player, down to the 2. That sets up Mike Neiman calling his own number and going in to score with less than a minute left in the contest. L'Anse Creuse North fought back and actually took a 1-point lead. Now, Garbarino hurt his throwing arm in the third quarter, coming back, trying to lead the Chieftains on a go-ahead drive. Look at that, throwing opposite hand, going to Brandon Vargo, good for 29 yards. That gets Utica down within Bobby Atkins' field goal range, and Atkins, with 2 seconds left on the clock, drills it. Perfect from 34 yards out. Utica beats L'Anse Creuse North in a classic, 30-28. Moving on. Other teams in the opener. How about Stevenson opening up at L'Anse Creuse? Weather would shorten this one to a half. That's all Stevenson would need. In the first, it's Tadarius Lewis busting in from 14 yards out. Stevenson up 7-0. Then Jason Fracassa, the sophomore, rolls out, tucks it under, and calls his own number. Number 14 gives the Titans 14 as Stevenson led 14-0. Then Fracassa through the air to Jerome Rucker, bobbles it but hangs on. Titans roll in just one half of play, 35-0. Moving on for Costa and company, going to Dakota to take on the Cougars.
Don't get caught up in it. Just play the game. It's still a game. It's just a game against some guys.
Just a bunch of guys. Well, Stevenson, very relaxed early. How about Jerome Rucker? Relaxed on that one as he takes the tip off the fingertips of Rodney Hush and takes it to the house. 82 yards on the score. It was Stevenson's only play of the first quarter. Dakota dominates the first half, but they're still trailing 7-3 until Mitch Lovett hits Mike Kwiatkowski here for the touchdown. 10-7 Cougars at the half, third quarter. Cats get tricky on Stevenson. Off the end around, it's Kyle DeMaster, and he is DeMaster. He goes deep to Rodney Hush. Hush takes it down for 34 yards down to the 5. It's scored a Terrence Shelby touchdown run. And then Fracassa in big trouble in the second half, sacked by Mike Laminin. 5 Cougar sacks in the second half of Fracassa, then Mitch Lovett to DeMaster down to about the 1-inch line. That sets up this Terrence Shelby 1-yard touchdown plunge, his second of the game. Cougars score the final 31 points of the game and win it 31-7. Ford taking on another Chippewa Valley team in the Big Reds. It's Tyler Allward here in the first quarter, running left, leaping into the end zone from 12 yards out, and the Big Reds up 7-0. Third quarter now, Falcons start to come back. It's Adam Blackwood, dangerous with his legs. He shows it here, 34 yards on the run, gets him down inside the 5, setting up his own 3-yard touchdown scamper, and Ford was down by just 6, 13-7. After a Big Red score, here comes Nick Rowe, the junior, rumbling up the middle for 29 yards. Then Rowe again. Good-looking running back, little Statue of Liberty. The wraparound handoff works. Rowe in from 23 yards out, 21-14. Falcons down by just 7. But Falcons problems here on the snap. Goes through Blackwood's hands, and then Alex Zerbicki sacks him for a big-time loss. Big Reds put this one away. Kyrell Williams, one of his 2 touchdown runs in the second half, changes direction. Big Reds win it 35-14. Stevenson then looking to turn things around against the Tars of Anchor Bay. Anchor Bay's first snap of the ball game does not go well. Mike Wood falls on it for the fumble recovery. Stevenson in business, says thank you very much for the gift. Mike Cutterback takes it into the end zone and cashes in that gift. 6-0 Titans on the 6-yard touchdown plunge by the senior. Still in the first. Anchor Bay punting. Brian Dillard on the punt return is able to corral it and then takes it down for 31 yards down to the 12. Stevenson again working with a very short field. And again, Mike Cutterback and the Titans take advantage. Second touchdown run of the game for him. 12-0 Stevenson. Titan defense playing very well. Eric Von Togren here drilling Blake Costa in the backfield. Stevenson blanking Anchor Bay at the half. Third quarter, though, the Tars finally get it going, and it's the brothers. Matt Desmet to Adam Desmet. They hook up for 47 yards on this play. They hooked up 6 times in the game. Here was another one of their hookups later on the drive. It's Matt to Adam again. This time on 4th and goal from 3 yards out, 21-6. Anchor Bay on the board. Nice drive put together for them, but that would be about it for the Tars. Here, Desmet in trouble. Rick Abraham and Sergio Guralesi bring him down for the sack. Titans recover the fumble. That gets the Stevenson offense in business. The sophomore Fracassa only 3 completions on the night, but here's one of them to Jerome Rucker. It caps off the scoring as Rucker takes it in. Stevenson beats the Tars at home 28-6. Moving on forward up at L'Anse Creuse, looking to bounce back from that loss to the Big Reds against the Lancers. Blackwood to Kyle Hunt for 31 yards. Adam Blackwood looking to improve his throwing in this game, and here he is with his legs, scoring the first touchdown of the game from 9 yards out, 7-0. Falcons in the first. Then Blackwood, again, taken to the air this time. He finds Kyle Hunt, and Hunt does the rest. Some questionable tackling, to say the least, there by the Lancers, 14-7. Falcons up by a touchdown. Second quarter now, Blackwood again calling his own number, putting some heady moves on, breaking tackles into the end zone from 13 yards out, 28-14. Falcons, but look at the Lancers hanging tough and coming back. Rashard Knox here in the third quarter, 45-yard touchdown run, and the Lancers were down just 7, 28-21, but just too much Falcon offense. The defense didn't play great, but the O couldn't be stopped. Blackwood to Rodney Ambrose, makes some moves, gets outside, and gets into the end zone. 31 yards on that score. Ford up by 14, and then Blackwood getting his 6th touchdown of the day. 2 through the air, 4 on the ground. Ford outshoots the Lancers 42-27. Speaking of shootouts, Bob Lancey and the Eagles looking for revenge against the Cougars. Dakota beat Ike 3-0 in the playoffs last year. On to the third quarter, Mitch Lovett in a 9-7 game hits DeMaster. Kyle DeMaster down the middle, 47 yards on the strike, 15-7 Cougars. The green and white looking to tack some more on here in the fourth, and it's Rodney Hush, as he does so much, taking it in from the QB spot when they get down close to the goal. 22-7, Dakota up in the fourth, but Taylor Capacia brings Eisenhower back. Slow motion highlight here deep to Brett Cotton. And then later on the drive here in the fourth, it's Capacia to Kirk Danduran. Danduran comes up with the ball. Look what I found. 36 yards later, he's in for a touchdown, 22-15. Eisenhower fans sensing comeback. They hand off to Mike Farr, and Farr, who wasn't even the starting running back at the start of the season, well, he's firmly the starter now, in for the touchdown, 38-yard run, ties the game up at 22 apiece late in the fourth quarter. Ensuing kickoff for Eisenhower, they've got all the momentum until Rodney Hush corrals this one at his own 1-yard line, and Hush, look at the move he puts on the Eisenhower kicker here at the sideline, right in front of his own bench. That's showing off all the way in for the score. 99 yards, then turns to the crowd and silences them. 29-22, Dakota with the big win. The history of the Eisenhower-Stevenson matchup, there have been some classic games. However, none may have been more memorable than the most recent edition of this epic rivalry. With both teams' playoff hopes in question, the 2007 matchup took on even more importance. There is Lancey and By. 512 wins between those two great coaches. By at 245, Lancey at 267. First quarter, Ike having some trouble holding on to the football. Brian Falta, the junior, falls on it with the fumble recovery. Stevenson gets 3 points out of it. Then after another Ike turnover, it's Jason Fracassa to Jordan Belfiore from 2 yards out. Titans up, just like that, 10-0 on Eisenhower. Stevenson taking that crush Ike mantra literally here at Ryan Battaglia, just destroying Mike Farr. Stevenson's defense playing exceptionally well early, as was the sophomore QB Fracassa. Here he hits another sophomore, DJ Mershman, for 40 yards down to the 1-yard line. That sets up Mike Cutterback here. Cutterback showing a great second effort on the 1-yard touchdown plunge. And it was 17-0 all Stevenson in the first quarter. First quarter not even done yet. Ike couldn't get out of that first fast enough. Taylor Capacia throwing a pick to Mike Wood. Wood with the return. Stevenson up 17-0 at the end of one, and looking for more. Fracassa in the early second quarter. Off that turnover, finds Mershman for 17 yards, and then Thomas Barham here up the middle into the end zone easily. 24-0 Titans. Looking like a blowout. Bob Lancey, not pleased. Second quarter, though, Eisenhower starts to come back. Taylor Capacia finding Cotton here for 59 yards as he gets behind the Titan defense. Eisenhower finally on the board, 24-7 in the second quarter. Eisenhower's next possession, they continue to try and chip away at things. Capacia here down the middle to Kyle Wilden, the tight end. Great catch for 22 yards as he hangs onto it. That sets up this 1-yard touchdown squeaker, I guess you'd say, by Capacia as he just broke the plane. 24-14 at the half. Fourth quarter now, 24-17. Titans with a 7-point lead, trying to kick the field goal to salt things away. Jack Woodberg's field goal is blocked by Brian Klozik. Joe Worth picks it up, returns it all the way to the Titan 10, but a penalty would bring it back to around midfield. So Stevenson on defense. Eisenhower with the ball down 7 late. Taylor Capacia going deep to Mike Farr. Farr with 38 yards, one of his 10 catches on the night. Lancey watching Eisenhower now. First and goal, it's Capacia rolling out and finding Farr in the front corner of the end zone. 24-24, we're all tied up with 2:17 left to go in the game. Stevenson would have to punt on their next possession. Eisenhower one last chance, and it's Capacia. I'm not sure what he was doing there, trying to make a play. And another interception for Mike Wood, his second of the game. It gave Stevenson one last chance themselves. Their possession from around midfield resulted in nothing as Fracassa was sacked by Rob Venditti. First OT, both teams kicked field goals. Second OT, Stevenson says, we don't need the field goal. We'll go for it on 4th and goal from the 1. Cut it back, though. Stopped short by the Eisenhower defense. So all Ike would have to do in the second OT would be kick a field goal themselves, and they go home winners. On first down, they try for the field goal. Ethan Dalek, a little bit wide left, or a lot of bit wide left. Still tied at 27. We go to a third overtime. This time, Ike gets the ball first in the third OT. Capacia rolling out, avoiding the hands of Rick Abraham, would have been his third sack of the game. Instead, it's Kurt Danderand's 10th catch of the game, and it's a big one. 5 yards on the touchdown. Eisenhower takes a 34-27 lead. Last effort for Stevenson on 2nd and goal. Jacob Howell picks off the Fracassa pass. Eisenhower wins in one of the classics, triple OT, 34-27. And it's time for a break here on Sports Timeout. When we return, soccer and volleyball. Stay tuned.
Want to know how the Sterling Heights Police, Fire, and Public Works Department utilize your tax dollars? Then watch Sterling Heights at your service every day at 8:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m.
And welcome back to Sports Timeout. We dive into soccer as the Titans try to atone for last year's losing season as they took on Romeo. Romeo opening up with their third straight MAC-Red opponent to start the season, and Alex Nash, the sophomore, going off of Thomas Cunningham's back and then beating the Romeo goalie 1-0 Stevenson in the first. Second half, Bulldogs fight back. George Marcoux on the restart. Titans try to clear it, but Pat Cymbalski here with the shot deflected off a Titan defender. 1-1 our score. Stevenson trying to go back up on top. It's Kyle O'Mell to Billy Alfonsi, and Josh Balabut comes out and makes the save. 12 saves for him, tied at 1. Warren Mott taking on the Chieftains. Dave Moran's team hoping for big things this year. Pick up the action in the second half. Bobby Atkins with the restart. Nick Jurasevich there with a nice save for the Marauders to keep it scoreless. But Utica able to finally get on the board here late in the second half. It's Atkins with a cross over to Jake Freeland. He beats Jurasevich, and the Chieftains beat Warren Mott by the final of 1-0. Moving on, Jack Latore and the Stallions taking on Cuzno. 1-0 on a goal by Mark Tarazzi. Stallions in front. Matt Roble, off the restart. Andrew Warner lets in a bad goal late in the first half. We were tied at 1. Second half, same scenario. It's Roble again, and again it goes through Warner's hands. 2-1. Cuzno gets their first victory of the season, beating Sterling Heights on the pair of Roble goals. Ford taking on Utica as we move on. Ionut Simon here, the Romanian, move in with the cross to Dario Felino, and the sophomore beats the Chieftain goalie. 1-0, Ford up 8 minutes into the game. Ford up 2-0, though. A penalty sets up this Bobby Atkins PK. No problem there. Atkins slices the lead in half, 2-1. Second half, Utica draws even. Atkins over to Mac Bouchard, the header, beats the Falcon goalie 2-2. But Ford and Dave Crawford's team does bounce back. This time it's Travis Tressler finding Andrew Bohm. Bohm beats the Chieftain stopper. 3-2 Falcons up. They go on to win it by the final of 4-2. Sterling Cup game played annually between Sterling Heights and Stevenson, dominated by the Titans in recent years. This game would prove no different. First half, Daryl Goodnow on the restart. Andrew Warner, nice save there. Stevenson, though, racing over to it. The cross, and Billy Alfonsi almost got the header on it. We were still scoreless. Titans, though, get on the board late in the first half. It's Goodnow, the senior captain. Nice moves down the sideline, and then a beautiful cross to John Dushai. Pretty goal for Stevenson. They tack on 3 more in the second half and win the Sterling Cup, 4-0. Jack Latore singing in the rain. All right. Not singing in the rain. Sterling Heights not singing in the rain, but the Falcons were. Dominic Troy on the restart ahead to Ianut Simon. Big day for the senior. He blasts that one by Fadi Salim. 1-0. Falcons up. I promise I won't sing anymore. Simon then ahead to Tressler. Later in the first half, Travis Tressler beats Salim 2-0. Falcons, just under 17 minutes left. Then Dominic Troy on the restart. The senior having a great year. He beats Salim 3-0 Falcons, 4-1. Dave Crawford's team up at the intermission. Sterling Heights, though, showing a little bit of life in the second half. Mark Tarazi, the Stallion forward, pretty good player in his own right here. Nifty moves. He beats Brett Sowers as he goes top shelf. 4-2. Stallions cut that once 4-0 Falcon lead down to 2. But just too much Ianut Simon. Troya with the chip ahead to him, and Simon gets around the goalie and finds the net, his second goal of the day. And how about the hat trick for Mr. Simon? 3 goals for Ianut Simon. Another nice one here is once again he draws Warner out of the goal. 6-2. Falcons win it. 3 goals for Ianut in the win. Moving on, in a 5-0 win over Roseville earlier this year, the Titans' Bob Mondu won his 100th career game with the boys' soccer team. This came just months after Mondu accomplished the same feat with the Titan girls squad. Mondu's Titans looked to open some eyes in the MAC Red as they took on the defending Red champs in Eisenhower. Titans lost to Ike 2-0 in a game in the early part of the season. Didn't play a lot of the regulars. Eisenhower taking the bait, maybe underestimating Stevenson. No one underestimating Blake Reedy right there as he robs Daryl Goodnow of the goal on the restart. Eisenhower with some opportunities themselves. Tom Catalano from deep. Kurt Ubrecht with the header and a great save by John Lynch. The goalies making the highlights for good things most of the first half. I say most of it. Blake Reedy here gives up one as Justin Volwinkle's shot goes through his hands. Daryl Goodnow follows it up. Reedy tried to grab onto his foot. No avail. Goodnow with the goal. Stevenson up 1-0 with 45 seconds left in the first. Titans then hold on. Max McLean there with a big play late in the second as the Titans get the 1-0 victory over Ike. Moving on. Utica at Sterling Heights taking on the Stallions. Bobby Atkins on the corner. Andrew Warner, he's very active in the Stallion goal this year, having to stop a lot of shots. He stopped 20 shots in this game. Great save right there, robbing Atkins a couple times, but Warner, there's too many shots to deal with here. Tony Mucka finally beats him as Utica scores in the second half. Mucka with a pair of goals. Chieftains would cap off the scoring here in the second. Mike Robidoux with the flick over to Mike Horan. Pretty header as the Chieftains beat the Stallions 3-0. Moving on, Ford taking on Eisenhower. Eisenhower going to take out some aggression after that Stevenson loss on the Falcons. Catalano here weaving through the Falcon defense, and then Ford scores on themselves. Not good. 1-0 Eisenhower up. Credit the goal to Catalano. Moving on. Crawford not really thrilled with that break. Moving on. Catalano here, still in the first, ahead to Corey Wheeler. Wheeler, nice header that time. Eisenhower earns that goal. 2-0 Eagles, 19-11 left to go in the first. Second half, more Eagles. Kurt Ubrecht ahead to Scott McCormick, finds Mike Lipinski backside. Eisenhower up 4-0. They go on to win by the final of 4-1. Bob Mondu and the Titans then going up against the Eagles. Ike looking to exact some revenge on Stevenson for that MAC Red loss. And in the first half, it's Mike Mandola, the Titan freshman goalie here, coming up with a heck of a save stopping Catalano. We were scoreless midway through the first half. Titans get on the board. Kyle O'Mell ahead to John Dushai. He beats Blake Reedy. Stevenson up 1-0, 14:04 left to go in the first. Just under 3 minutes left to play in the first half. Eisenhower coming back. Eagles played much better this time out against Stevenson. Titan goalies were a little better, though. Here, Catalano is going to take the ball wide to the net, and then nice little cross Stevenson didn't kick it out of there, and Corey Wheeler's on the backside for the goal. Ties things up at 1 at the intermission. Stevenson dominated in the second half, got very few scoring opportunities, but they took advantage of the one they got. Mike Alfonsi to Daryl Goodnow for the goal. Titans take a 2-1 lead, just under 17 minutes left to go in the match. Eisenhower, though, would come back less than a minute later. Kurt Ubrecht ahead to Wheeler, and watch this individual effort by Corey Wheeler. Goes through a couple Titan defenders, and then Mendola has no chance. Wheeler with the goal, his second of the match. These two teams settle for a 2-2 tie. And finally, we get to volleyball. Forgive us if it took a while. This is, after all, the second time in 2007 we've covered the sport, thanks to the season switch.
Let's go, Warner! Let's go, Warner!
Mott fans fired up for their game against the Falcons. Gina Rosinski getting off to the good start for Ford with the early tip. Falcons down 6-4. Then Reagan Monarch on the serve. Kayla Greenwald setting up Jordan Kornak. She finds that back corner. Ford playing well in the first game, but the first game would go to Warren Mott. Stephanie Haberski here to Katie Murphy. All 6'2" of her, puts it down 25-20. Warren Mott takes game 1. Lisa Sanford's team, though, comes back in game 2. Allie Cole on the serve. Mott's going to send it back over. Leah Jones digs it out. And then Kayla Greenwald sets up Megan Jones, who's having a pretty nice year with the kill. Ford in control in game 2. Then Murphy with the attack for Warren Mott. Jordan Kornak says, I don't think so. She stops it. 26-24. Falcons take the second game. On to game 3. Murphy with the attack. Look at Leah Jones tracking that one down, keeping it alive. And then the Ford defense has that one postmarked, return to sender. Jones or Kornak with the block. Ford takes game 3. On to game 4. Kevin Bullis urging his team to come back, and they would be resilient on their home floor. This was a marathon match between these two teams. Ford setting up the attack, but Murphy with the block. Mott wins the fourth game 25-21, but Ford outlasts him on the Greenwald ace to win it 3-2, taking the last one 15-10. On to Utica. Lana Sedawa's team picking up right where they left off last year when they won their first ever district title. Actually, that was earlier this year. Rebecca Wilson here with the early block for Ike. We are tied at 4 in game 1. Rosa Tolomelo with the serve for Ike. Ashley Zapatel sends it right back to where she was, just inside the line. Utica had things under control here. Here's Zapatel to Brianna Peabody. Peabody, one of the returners from last year's Cinderella team, puts Utica up 10-6. Chieftains take the first game. Sedawa watching her team continue to play well in game 2. Zapatel to Peabody. They take the second one 25-15. Michelle DeCardenas trying to get her team to get things going. This was, after all, a battle for first place in the MAC Blue in the early part of the season. Lauren Kaiser sets up Dana Simkevich. Simkevich with the kill. Ike down 4-7 in game 3. But Sedawa's team just too strong, too many weapons. No more Lauren Forshee, but they have Alexis Junkai, who powers that one down, one of her 10 kills.